Hello everyone, how you all doing? And welcome to another episode of Chatterbox. Hope you're doing well, hope you're doing fine. I'm Sal Warner. We are here, guys, live for you. Guys, absolutely. Good to have you on board, of course. What a day, guys. The news has broken that Manchester United have made a £75 million offer plus 10 million in incentives, basically, which are very, very achievable to IB Leipzig. As I explained earlier on today, I felt that Manchester United had this in the bag. I believe that they've got this transfer in the bag, as Manchester United pulled out of various other transfers to focus on this transfer solely, which is Benjamin Sesko, of course. Manchester United have made a 75 million offer, of course, with 10 million in add-ons, reaching 85. Some may say that's short of the mark, although we can say that the stipulations that Manchester United are bringing forward are much more achievable than what Newcastle's stipulations were. So all in all, pound for pound, Man United's offer is better. But however, I would stress that Manchester United knew about this. They knew, they were confident about it from a long time ago. There's lots of evidence to suggest this. Ollie Watkins, for example, Man United pulled out the Ollie Watkins deal. As I said earlier on, they pulled out the Ollie Watkins deal. If Man United were not confident of getting this deal over the line, why would they put all their eggs in the Sesko basket and just totally neglect publicly, by the way, Ollie Watkins? Absolutely brilliant from Manchester United. We're going to get Sesko. It does look that way. Rumours circulating that Sesko priority is Manchester United. Manchester United believe that Sesko is going to choose our club, guys. What great news that is. 75 million plus 10 million on incentives. We got no money, apparently, at the end of the day. But there you go. 85 million all in all, guys. Absolutely brilliant from Manchester United. And we hope that Sesko will be announced quickly, guys. That is this, of course, if Newcastle don't come in with a further offer trying to slow down the deal. Manchester United's feeling was that Sesko was waiting for a bid from Manchester United. And this is, here we are, guys. And I do believe that there's something going on behind the scenes. I do believe that there has been noises behind the scenes. There has been conversations behind the scenes. And I have mentioned it before. Don't be surprised if they've had secret messages and stuff like that with agents, entourages, and things like that. These things do happen, of course, guys, in football, of course. But you know what, guys, at the end of the day, Man United, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily a lower bid. Pound for pound, it's not, because at the end of the day, when you think about 85 million euros, it does basically, what you can say is that, it's a 75 plus 10 million incentives. Those incentives may be more achievable than what Newcastle's incentives are, if you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, Newcastle may offer 90 million, but their incentives might be, I'm going to fly to the moon tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? That might be their incentives, to 10 million in incentives. Basically, they got 80 million plus 10 million incentives. Those 10 million incentives might mean Southampton will win the Premier League in a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? And that is what it is at the end of the day. So pound for pound, Man United, I believe, have put in a better offer. And also, they are confident that Benjamin Sesko will agree to Manchester United. Like I said, guys, the way Man United have been acting, how confident they've been with this deal, of course, it really does point towards that Sesko is going to choose Manchester United. Of course, nothing is a given in football. Anything can happen. I'm not going to flip-flop on that, of course, guys. I'm not going to flip-flop from the fact that he can change his mind, etc. But I have been saying it for a while now. Why would Man United turn their back on the Ollie Watkins deal? Why would they focus fully on this deal if they didn't believe it was going to happen, guys? I just want to get this deal done, and we can move on to the next deal. Absolutely brilliant from Manchester United. Now, when we go into some of the news in regards to some of the tweets, one of the most recent tweets that have been released, of course, one is from Ben Jacobs. Key thing behind Manchester United Sesko bid is they didn't plan to move without player buy-in. Exactly, guys. As I said earlier on, they are waiting. And I said it over this last week. They are waiting from an announcement from Sesko. I believe that there has been announcement from Sesko that he wants to go to Manchester United. It has to be. It has to be. There must have been something said behind the scenes that has persuaded Manchester United to make this bid. Because let's face it, look at the De Jong's transfer situation. Man United have been in this situation before where, where they've, put all their eggs in one basket and haven't got the player through the door. This one looks like it is going through the door, looks like they've learned from their lessons, and it looks like Sesko has chosen Man United, which is why he has chosen, this is why Man United have put in a bid. Fabrizio Romano tweeted, Manchester United are again in direct contact with RB Leipzig to discuss details of a formal €85 million bid sent for Sesko. Newcastle want a final answer ASAP for club and player. United internally feel they have Sesko's preference. No official decision yet. So United internally feel they have Sesko's preference. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, I don't think Man United are going to go through all this if they didn't believe they're going to get the transfer over the line. I don't think Man United will do that. I don't think Man United are in a position to do that. I don't think Man United are in a position to start messing around, wasting time and getting rejected. I really don't think that is going to happen, to be honest with you. I think this is what we need now. We need confirmation of the Sesko clarification of the Sesko announcement that he wants to come to Manchester United. As I said earlier on today, it all depends on Benjamin Sesko. It doesn't matter what Newcastle United bid. If Benjamin Sesko wants to come to Manchester United, that is how it's going to be. He's going to come to Manchester United, and that's what I said earlier on, guys. Absolutely, guys. Big up everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Really good to see everyone in the house. Good to see you guys. Pop in, of course, guys. Big up, Jamie. How you doing, my friend? We are all gathered to feast. Absolutely. Big up, Jamie. Hope you're doing well. Guarantee you become a United player now. Absolutely. I've said it, Jamie. Just be calm. I told you, mate. We have to bid because he said yes, and there must be an icebreaker. Absolutely. What have I been saying for the last week, Jamie? What have I been saying? There has to be something behind the scenes going on at the moment, because we have completely neglected every other transfer and we've gone full throttle on this transfer. What does that mean? You have to read between the lines. You have to read between the lines what's going on, and look at things from above and look at things objectively and say, well, you know what? Why are Man United doing this? Why are they doing that? Of course. Good afternoon, Natty. How you doing, my friend? I'll be doing well. Good afternoon, Sal. Can we do a minute silence for Newcastle at the end of the day? Minute silence. Look, I'm going to do a minute silence for Newcastle. Do you know what? When I do a minute silence for Newcastle is when the deal is confirmed. When we get a here we go, when we get an Ornstein bomber, I'm going to do it, okay? And obviously, a Stretford Post done the dusted as well, guys. Absolutely. Natty, Sal, it is good Newcastle bid because it fast quickly. Could be, of course, could give a Man United a rush. So now we move to midfield. I mean, not yet, Natty. We haven't signed him yet. Hopefully this goes through the door. This goes over the line, and Man United manage to get this deal done. Hopefully they get the deal done, and we can move forward, of course, into the midfield, into the goalkeeper, etc., etc. Of course, that would be lovely. Of course, big up Dempo. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing it. After the Sal, do you think we'll get a centre midfield, or is the pot empty until next sales? I don't think the pot is completely empty. I'm never going to believe that Manchester United are broke. I've been saying that for months and months, and people don't believe me. I've been saying that for months and months. Man United have money in there. They just don't want to spend the money. There's a difference. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, billionaires will always manipulate. Billionaires will always pretend that they are broke, but they're actually not. So what I would say is that hopefully Man United at least will have money for a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper situation is extremely important at the moment, I feel. And I feel like Man United do need to sort that area out on the pitch as well. So we get the striker in, we get the goalkeeper in. More or less, we're okay. But yes, we do need reinforcements in that midfield. But in regards to the midfield, I do feel that Man United need to sell maybe one or two of the midfielders, because when you look at things, as I said many, many times over this last 24 hours, is that Casemiro, Ugarte, Collier, Mainu, Bruno are all vying for a couple of positions in that midfield. So will Man United bring in a midfielder unless they're going to sell one of those midfielders, especially Casemiro, who's on 370 grand a week, of course, guys. But taking it back to Sesko, guys, I did say earlier on today that Manchester United pulled out of the Ollie Watkins deal to focus fully on the Benjamin Sesko deal, which is why we're getting this news today of a €75 million offer plus 10 million in incentives that is deemed to be very, very achievable, which is enticing to Newcastle. Newcastle's offer of €90 million, of course, 80 million plus incentives, was deemed not sufficient in regards to the rumors that have been spread around now. Now, look, this looks like more money. €90 million looks like more money, but the incentives that were given to RB Leipzig for Newcastle United might not be as achievable as the incentives that have been put in place by Manchester United. Newcastle United offered €80 million plus €10 million in incentives. Those €10 million, as I said, could be anything. They could be very, very unlikely. For example, Newcastle United win the quadruple next season. Basically, never going to happen at the end of the day. In fact, if it was a stipulation where Newcastle United would win one trophy next season, I would call it highly unlikely given the law of averages, given it is one trophy in about 100 years. So what we have to understand is this: Manchester United's offer is more desirable. Manchester United's offer is, of course, more achievable. And also, there is rumours circulating that Sesko has chosen Man United, and Man United would not have made the bid unless they were confident Sesko has chosen Man United. Look, everything doesn't have to be done publicly. Some things could be done behind the scenes. So it is known that Manchester United, the special club, of course, have put in place a bid, and it looks likely that Sesko could become a Manchester United player. Nothing is set in stone yet. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but don't be surprised if something is confirmed very, very quickly, guys. And I'm looking forward to it being done very, very quickly, guys. Absolutely. Natty, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Sal, we have to be patient for the players. We do not have too much pressure on them. Absolutely, we have to. And this is another thing I was stressed, because this is a good point for Natty. This is a good point in regards to Sesko. Sesko's going to come into Man United. Don't expect Sesko to hit the ground running. No strikers come to Man United, apart from probably Robin Van Persie, and hit the ground running, to be honest with you. We need to be patient with this player. If he goes a couple of games without scoring, just be calm, just be patient. Now, it does look very tasty at the first game of the season, doesn't it? Arsenal versus Manchester United. Your carers against Sesko. Of course, Arsenal wanted Sesko, didn't they? Arsenal were in talks with Sesko. We were not in talks with Gyökeres. We were interested in Gyökeres, but obviously, apparently, Gyökeres rejected Man United, which I don't believe is true because we didn't put a bid in for him. But when you think about Gyökeres versus Sesko, first game of the season adds that little bit of spice, and I think that's a good thing at Old Trafford. Sesko versus Gyökeres, I think it's going to be class, guys. I really do think so. And I think Man United, imagine this. Sesko scores a couple of goals against Arsenal in the first game of the season. It would be lovely, wouldn't it? I would really, really enjoy that. Hopefully it happens, of course. Big up UK Rap. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. You said it, Sal. Thank you so much. UK Rap, hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Big up Kenny. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. Here we go soon. I think so as well. Absolutely. Let's hope Al Nassr get Greenwood. We do also have a set on course. Let's hope that we can get rid of Sancho. Let's hope we get rid of, obviously, Anthony and Garnacho as well. If those players get out the door, that would be good. It does look likely that Garnacho will go to Chelsea. It does look likely, but we should not be selling Garnacho for about 30 million euros. Way too cheap, of course, guys, when you think about Tyler Dibbling going for about 40. Come on, what's going on here? Absolutely. Alexandra Park, what's going on, my friend? Do you think we're getting out? Yes, I do. I've always believed it, Alexandra Park. I've always believed it. I always believed, like I said earlier on today, the way I'm going to believe in this deal is if Man United make the offer. Because when Man United make the offer, it means that Sesko has given them clarification that he wants to go to Manchester United. This is where it is. This is why I'm confident, because I've been informed that Manchester United will not make an offer unless Benjamin Sesko have committed himself to Manchester United. Now, I said earlier that Benjamin Sesko also wanted clarification from Manchester United that they can afford him. Now, Manchester United have proven now that they can afford him. And Sesko has given them their word. And it does look like Sesko could go to Manchester United. Unless something weird happens, something miraculous happens, and he ends up going to Newcastle, then we have to wait and see, of course. Of course, Newcastle can disrupt this deal. They can make another offer now. But if Benjamin Sesko comes out right now and starts saying, you know what, I only want Manchester United, I don't want anyone else, then I don't think Newcastle are going to come back with a bid, because that would be very, very shameful on themselves, of course, guys. And it does seem like taking candy from a baby when we think about Newcastle, doesn't it? You know, they always have this optimism, they always have this excitement, and we always seem to take it away from them, just like we took Andy Cole away from them. Of course, guys, let's go. Absolutely. Good afternoon, Kazi. How you doing, my friend? I'll be doing well, of course. Where's that Newcastle fan? I don't think we're going to see him, but Jamie, at the end of the day, you know what I would say is that when you come on these channels, you know, you're talking to the boss, guys. You're talking to the boss. You're talking to me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't speak in riddles. I don't speak in nonsense. I don't do any of that rubbish. I don't pretend to be this. I don't pretend to be that. I speak the gospel, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Newcastle fans wanted to come on here, run their mouth and stuff like that. It's absolutely fine. They did that this morning, and you know what I would say is that, you know, they could have egg on their face. To be honest with you, the barcodes have definitely, well, they haven't checked out, not in this deal. We're the ones checking out. You know what I mean? We might as well put barcode on our kit as well because we're the ones checking out. So we might as well have the barcode. You know what I mean? Oh, Newcastle, we need to make a striped shirt, mate. Get the barcodes out. Absolutely. Jamie, what's funny is he's going to do it for less. Pound for pound, we have to wait and see, of course. His agent is a United fan, by the way. Yeah, been saying it how long have I been saying it, Jamie? How long have I been saying it? His agent is a Man United fan. Guys, why do you think I would post things up and stuff like that if I didn't think that his agent was a Man United fan? Sesko's a Man United fan. You know, Christopher Favel is working for Man United. He's a good friend of Benjamin Sesko, you know, as I've put the picture up many, many times. Guys, Stretford Post, guys, Stretford Post. We are big. Absolutely, absolutely. Applaud it for work of Vivel's work. You have to give credit to obviously Vivel. Vivel is obviously very close to the Red Bull organization, of course, and he has done a lot of work at RB Salzburg and RB Leipzig, of course. So we have to give credit where credit is due in regards to Christopher Vivel, and it was a masterstroke in getting him at the football club, of course. Obviously, there was a little bit of tension between Ruben Amorim and Christopher Vivel because obviously Ruben Amorim was looking at a more experienced player to come into the club, but obviously Vivel's doing a good job so far, and if he can bring in Benjamin Sesko, that would be absolutely lovely, of course. Should never doubt Vivel, absolutely. Bello, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. There's only one United. Big up, Bello. Glory, Man United. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Hardcore, what's going on, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Man United would only bid if they got assurances of Sesko. That's why the bid now went in. What did I say yesterday? Day before yesterday? Day before that? Day before that? What did I say about that? You know, at the end of the day, this is what that's what I've been talking about all this time. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. You see, it's easy to talk after the thing has happened, but you know, I put myself out there and I say that this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Stipulate. Look, read my Twitter. Kazi. Man United said they will only bid if the player only wanted United must have been clean flow cars. Kazi, you're repeating what I said this morning. Exactly what I said this morning, guys. You know, exactly what I said yesterday. Exactly what I said the day before. No need to tell me. I know. Goodness me. Luke, my Northampton Town Football Club transfer window problem season, no striker. Short, very sad. But Kevin Nolan, my manager, out the Six Hill Stadium. Big up Kevin Nolan, by the way, Luke Chapman. Kevin Nolan, of course, used to manage Leyton Orient, of course. Did very good job at Leyton Orient, of course. Also used to play for Bolton Wanderers. Best of luck to Northampton Town, my guy. Big up Northampton Town, by the way. No problem, of course. Blew it out the water, absolutely, mate. Blew it out the water. Big up. We are the water, absolutely, mate. Christian, big up. Hi, Sal. I believe with an agreement we can afford a midfielder now. That's why we are so spot on behind the scenes, guys. I hope so, Christian. I hope so. And as we said, radio silence. It could be silence. It could have their cards close to their chest. I like this about it. I don't agree with everything being so open. I do think that some things do get exposed, i.e., not going for Ollie Watkins, turning our back on Ollie Watkins to fully focus on Sesko. And it was from that moment I thought, do you know what? We're going to get Sesko because we wouldn't have turned our back on Ollie Watkins if this wasn't going to happen, guys. Absolutely. Also, talks of Rasmus being sold as well. Lots of news going on about Rasmus Højlund, of course. Rasmus Højlund to Bayer Leverkusen, of course, guys. That is going on at the moment. Erik ten Hag wants Rasmus Højlund at Bayer Leverkusen. If they want him at Bayer Leverkusen, they're going to have to pay the money. However, what I would say is that it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep Rasmus Højlund at the football club, just to have that little bit of backup of strikers. If we get rid of the likes of Garnacho and Anthony and Sancho, it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep Rasmus Højlund in there for the squad, in my opinion. Because obviously we're going to make money from those players. And I feel like it's no substitute for having a substitute on the bench who can play up front, in my opinion. And that's what I would say. So I wouldn't think it's a bad idea to keep Rasmus Højlund. But if we get a good offer from the likes of Bayer Leverkusen or Inter Milan who are interested in him, I don't think that is such a bad idea. However, what I want to talk about Sancho briefly. Man United could get a midfielder in, of course, if Man United can do a deal with Juventus. Obviously, Juventus have a midfielder there. Lewis, of course, is a midfielder over there, which we can possibly get in a swap deal, of course, guys. Absolutely. He prefers Man United's graveyard shift project. Big up, Mark. Big up, everyone. Big up, Pearl. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Absolutely, Russell Mendy. He needs to cry, mate. Tears, love him. Absolutely. Let them cry, mate. Let them cry. Of course. Afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I was waiting for us to respond all day. And I told you, Jamie, you know what? You need to spread the word of Stretford Post, because at the end of the day, I've been saying it. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but here we are. Absolutely brilliant. Ahmed, but let's wait and see what happens in the bid, of course. Are you still confident Casemiro will leave the West window? No, I'm not confident at all Casemiro will leave. This is why I'm not confident Man United will go for the midfielder. Casemiro's on 370 grand a week. I don't think Man United are going to end up putting him on the bench on 370 grand a week. As much as we want a midfielder, Man United do have to get rid of a midfielder in this window. Obviously, there's been rumours over this last week or so that we may loan out Collier. Now, Collier won't save much on wages. He's not on much. Definitely not on as much as Casemiro, of course. But Man United do need to offload a couple of players there to get a midfielder in. I would love us to get a Baleba. I would love us to get an Adam Wharton. One of those players would be absolutely splendid. And if we go into the season with Sesko, Mbeumo, Cunha, and obviously Baleba or Wharton and the goalkeeper, I think we're going to be looking pretty tasty, guys. I do think that, absolutely. Do believe that, my friends. Good afternoon, my friend Alawabi. What's going on? Awolabi, hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Big up, Chalinga. What's going on? Good evening, Sal, and the legends of this channel. Let's keep up the likes and follow. Thank you so much, Chandinga. You absolute legend. Really, really appreciate them. Absolutely. A bit less embarrassing for them. Man United, look, obviously we don't know the stipulations fully. Obviously, Man United have bid 75 million euros plus 10 million in incentives. Those incentives might be more than Newcastle's, because Newcastle bid 80 plus 10 million in incentives. Now, those 10 million in incentives that Newcastle have offered might be less than what Manchester United offers, if you know what I mean. It's complicated, but, at the end of the day, as I said, it could be that Sal flies to the moon tomorrow. They get 10 million in incentives. Do you know what I mean? Not that, obviously, not that bad, but you know what I mean? You can bid 80 million and say, we'll give you a further 10 million if Sesko wins the Ballon d'Or, which is, at the moment, it's unrealistic when you're thinking about the competition and stuff like that. But Man United might have offered 75 million plus 10 million in incentives, but the 10 million incentives is if Benjamin Sesko gets 20 goals next season. For example, do you know what I mean? That could be the incentive, of course. Or Benjamin Sesko gets 50 appearances for Man United. That could be an incentive as well, which is very, very achievable. It's very, very achievable, of course. Big up, Jamie. Hope you're well, of course. We got big nuts, guys. Big up, Jamie. I'm glad you're happy, Jamie. I'm glad you're happy. RB, Man United need a midfielder. It's very important. Man United need quite a lot of positions. I do feel that Man United's biggest problem is the goalkeeper after the striker. I think that right now. Many games were lost last season because of the goalkeeping situation. We made a lot of mistakes last season. We actually had a goalkeeper who had a record amount of mistakes, which are leading 2 goals. Pound for pound, we've got our worst goalkeeper in the Premier League history. Pound for pound, factually, it is a fact. Statistically, it is a fact. And there's 2 things. There's 2 positions on the pitch that I like to look at things statistically. It's the striker and it's the goalkeeper. Those are the 2 things I like to look at statistically. And when you think about mistakes leading to goals, there's no hiding place for that in regards to that. And I think that Onana, fair play to him, great personality, etc., etc., etc. But I just feel that Onana, it creates too much anxiety, creates too much indecisiveness in our team. I think a goalkeeper is a must. I really do think so. If we can get a great goalkeeper in, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Sending Lemens would be great, of course. Sesko, let it done. Big up, my friend. Big up. Good to see you. I wanted him. Everyone knows I did this in chat. Big up, Jamie. Big up yourself. Mark, Newcastle have offered to pay the whole fee straight off, and now United have offered 10 million. Wait, Newcastle have offered 80 million, mate, plus 10 million incentives. That's what it is, mate. That is what it is. Like it or lump it, mate. That is what it is. Newcastle fans having a hissy fit. At the end of the day, look, guys, Newcastle United, a good football club. They're a big football club in the Northeast. They're not Manchester United. They're not one of the biggest clubs in the world. They're a big football club in the Northeast. That's about it. Unfortunately, they got a bit of a syndrome where they like delusions of grandeur, isn't it? Delusions of grandeur, not delusions of grandeur, delusion of grandeur. Absolutely, definitely. They've got that. They probably got that as well, grandeur as well. But what I would say is this, right? They think they're bigger than they are. They always have felt they're bigger than they are. I've seen great Newcastle teams in my time, but they never won anything. I've seen teams with Lev Ferdinand, Alan Shearer, Faustino Spria, David Ginola, Gary Speed, of course, David Batty, Pavel Cernacek, Philip Albert. I've seen Peter Beardsley. I've seen great Newcastle teams, but those Newcastle teams never won anything and they never quite achieved anything. So they are a known football club in the Northeast, and people know Newcastle around Europe like they know, for example, Fiorentina or a team like that. They know that's how Newcastle are seen around Europe. They're like a Fiorentina, a team like that, who are known. We know who Fiorentina are, but they're not successful. Dabizas, I heard he is leaving on a club to decide where he goes. He has accepted financial terms of both clubs. Yes, he has. But let's put this in perspective, guys, and let me repeat this. Manchester United would not have made the bid if they didn't get clarification from Benjamin Sesko. This is very, very important, because if Manchester United didn't make this bid, it means they haven't got clarifications from Benjamin Sesko. I find it rather of a coincidence that Man United have made this bid straight away. I do believe that they have had clarification from Benjamin Sesko. And Man United will not go in for a 75 million offer plus 10 million in incentives like that if they didn't believe that the deal is going to be done. And Sesko has already agreed to go to Manchester United. This is my feeling on it. This is what I heard a long time ago. And this is what I said this morning and yesterday and the day before, that, we need clarification from Benjamin Sesko. He wants to come to Manchester United. But the thing is, like I said this morning, Benjamin Sesko did not want to come out publicly and say that he's going to Manchester United, because if Manchester United can't afford the transfer fee. So Benjamin Sesko needed clarification from Manchester United that they can afford the transfer fee. So basically what Man United have done today is that given clarification to Benjamin Sesko. They've given clarification to Benjamin Sesko that they can afford the transfer fee. And that is where we're going with this at the end of the day. Very, very important, of course, guys. And that there shows that Man United have the money to buy Benjamin Sesko, because this was Benjamin Sesko's biggest concern. This was his biggest concern, that we can turn around, we can say we want Benjamin Sesko, we can get an agreement from Benjamin Sesko, but we don't come in with a bid. So I believe firmly that we've had an agreement from Benjamin Sesko, and Man United are putting a bid, which has proven that they can afford the fee for Benjamin Sesko. Of course, we don't know everything that has happened behind the scenes. Football's a funny old game, isn't it? At the end of the day, you never know what's going on. If I was a fly on the wall, I would have said it word for word, of course, guys. But this is what it is. At the end of the day, Benjamin Sesko wanted clarification from Manchester United that they can afford the fee, and Manchester United wanted clarification that Benjamin Sesko wanted to come to Manchester United. It seems like we got both. Fingers crossed, of course. Jamie. Oh, my goodness me. Jamie. Careful. Live stream for you. Man United should go for Watkins. He is Premier League proven. There we go. We turned our back on Watkins, didn't we? Watkins ain't it, not the man for a rebuild. Absolutely, I agree with that, my friend. But again, don't care. He'll reject you. I said it this morning, guys. It doesn't matter what Newcastle bid. Newcastle can give us the whole of the whole of the city. They can give him the whole of the city. They give him the keys to the kingdom. If he doesn't want to go to Newcastle, it doesn't make a difference what they offer. At the end of the day. Alexander Park, Man United 1-4 with the bookies. That must be the favourites then, isn't it? Absolutely. Big up Alexander Park. It's a good idea to allow Newcastle to breed fast, and we react after it. It's quite competitive. Let's wait and see. We'll respond. Big up Chandiga. We are the bookies. Yeah, of course we are. It's written in the stars, guys. It's an ABC, basically, guys. It is quite a simple thing to do. Sesko wanted clarification from Man United. Man United wanted clarification from Benjamin Sesko. Man United can make an offer for Benjamin Sesko. What's going on? Give us a clue. There's your hint. That's what it is. Manchester United have had clarification from Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko has had clarification, and evidently we have the money to buy him. Absolutely. Big up, Jamie. Big up, Jamie, of course. Afternoon, Sal. 85 million bid looking good for us. Yeah, just tuned in to only heard the news. Big up Brian Moran. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. Big up Joe. What's going on, my friend? I'll be doing well. Look, I hope the deal was done. And I will be honest, Sesko was not the first choice. It's not my first choice either, Joe, if I'm being honest. But we're in a situation now where the striker market is becoming less and less. I wanted obviously Gyökeres, I wanted Osimhen, I wanted Mateta. There's many players out there that I did want. Unfortunately, we didn't get them, of course. And because he is Premier League proven, I would rather have Watkins, but it's just my opinion. Joe, that at the end of the day, look, I did say it earlier this morning, and I'm not going to flip-flop from what I said this morning. At the end of the day, what Manchester United need is a guy who could put the ball in the back of the net. That putting the ball in the back of the net is a specialist thing. It's a thing you're born with, basically. You know, ask players like Michael Owen of the past. It's a thing that you're born with, putting the ball in the back of the net. You can't expect a number 10 to go up front and score goals for you because that is not their bread and butter. They are more of an assister. They're more of a creator. Now, I did say earlier on that whoever Man United sign, I will back it as long as it's a striker who can put the ball in the back of the net. I agree with Joe. This was the argument we were putting through for Ollie Watkins. One of the biggest arguments was he's Premier League proven. But now we're not going to get him. We turned our back on him a week ago and we got Sesko. We put all our eggs in the Sesko basket. He does help with the rebuild, but it is a risk. Of course, it's a risk. I think it's a big risk that Man United are taking, but it might pay off. Let's wait and see what happens. Benjamin Sesko has scored almost 1 in 2 goals throughout his career. He has scored some fantastic goals as well throughout his career. He has got the talent. He's not Rasmus Højlund. Absolutely not. Rasmus has never proven to be a goal scorer of that level. So, look, what we would say is that fair play, Joe. Look, I understand what you're saying. Man United, I wanted Mateta, who was my first choice, my third choice. Jokeris and Osman were my first and second choice. We didn't get them, unfortunately. But hopefully, we wish Sesko the best of luck. And hopefully, he comes to Man United and absolutely kicks it and goes on from strength to strength and becomes a Manchester United legend, of course. Big up, my friend Joe. Hope you're doing well, of course, as well. Big up, Chichi. United has some money and also discussing for real. Guys, listen, Stretford Post is where at. There was a lot of people talking to me, whether they write a message on my videos. Man United are broke. Man United are broke. Man United are broke. I've heard it again and again and again and again and again and again. I didn't want Ineos. I didn't want the part ownership. I didn't. But even I know that Ineos are not broke. And I've been saying it for time and time again. So Jim Ratcliffe bid $5 billion for Chelsea. He got rejected, right? So then he purchased Manchester United on a 27% ownership, right? For about $1 billion. So that must mean that he's got $4 billion remaining. So at the end, and he's probably got more than that in assets and stuff like that. So, that goes to show you that, he's not broke. It's just all a manipulation tactic, etc., 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 Abdullah, big up this channel, all the friends. We got Sesko 90 to 10%. Big up, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Thank you so much, my guy. Really appreciate it, of course. Watkins is 31 in 2 years. Sesko 22 pro profit. Absolutely, mate. Sell on clause as well, mate. I think they're thinking about that as well, isn't it, Jamie? I would prefer Watkins. Yes, it's down to opinion, isn't it? Live stream for you. That's what life is about. So it's installments this deal. Yeah. It looks likely. I think Man United will pay a big chunk up front. But yeah, it does look likely that it will be installments, but we're going to have to wait and see the full stipulations of the deal. What is evident is that the 10% that Man United, the 10 million that Man United are going to add on is very achievable. As I said, this incentives that Man United are going to add on, the 10 million, it could be basically if Sesko reaches 50 games for Man United, if Sesko gets 50 caps for his country, it could be something like that. Those are the kind of stipulations that people add in contracts, etc. Of course. There you go. This is a difference of opinion. Watkins is not good enough for Man United. There you go. That's the differences of opinion, isn't it? It is a democracy at the end of the day, isn't it, guys? A live stream for you, and then he was washed in 2 years. No thanks. Big up, Jamie. Same as Jamie Wayne, mate. Big up, Jamie. Big up, Brian Moran. Hope you're well. Big up, Blazing Zal. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. We all know tonight there's a decision who wants to join. Anyway, big up, mate. I hope you're doing good. Thank you so much, Blazing. I'm very well. Thank you. It's very good to see you again. Hope you're doing well as well, of course. Absolutely. Sesko is definitely the profile I want at United. Tall, pacey, young, athletic, aerial threat, long shots, guys. And what I'm looking forward to seeing, Dabisas, is Benjamin Sesko playing in front of Cunha and Mbeumo, guys. I'm looking forward to that the most. He is going to score some goals, believe it. Absolutely. Jamie, I've backed my choice and I want this player. Come on, Jamie. Big up, Jamie. He's talented. Don't care what anyone says. He's talented, yeah. I don't think that Arsenal and Man United will be fighting tooth and nail for this player. Arsenal obviously pulled out because they're getting Jokeris, but they did want Benjamin Sesko and they didn't agree a fee with Benjamin Sesko. They didn't agree terms either, which is crazy, isn't it, at the end of the day? I wasn't on the morning stream, but yesterday, day before, I've been talking about it. But big up, Kazi, of course. Much love to you, mate. Good to see you back, mate. It's good to see you. It's just holy you want Watkins? Forget Watkins for Man United. Big up. Look, everyone has got an opinion, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's how it is. How many times have I said that this chat, I want him? Bet your ass I'm happy. Big up, Jamie. Big up. I'm glad you're happy, mate. I'm glad. But why did United allow Osman to slip off their fingers if we actually have that money? Now, look, at the end of the day, there is a lot of problems with obviously Osman. He had problems at Napoli. He's had problems at other clubs as well. Now, his age as well, I think he's 26, isn't he? He's going 26. That could be a problem. And he committed himself to Galatasaray. He wanted to go to Galatasaray, and that is about it. Of course, he fell out with the Napoli official, of course, as well. So, look, maybe it was a difficult deal to do. And many people were telling me that, oh, you know what, if Osimhen comes to Man United, it's not the profile that Ruben Amorim wants. Ruben Amorim wants players that are dedicated to the cause. He wants players that wear their heart on their sleeve. He doesn't want ego. One thing about Ruben Amorim, he does not want ego at this football club. Osimhen's got a lot of that, unfortunately. And I rate Osimhen. I've said it many times in this show and other shows as well, that Osimhen is one of the players that I wanted. But you know what? If he's got an ego, if he thinks he's bigger than the football club, and then obviously, you know, it doesn't attract to Ruben Amorim, of course. Please don't talk about Watkin again. Dabizas. Bello and my wages, that as well, of course. Rumor is he wanted about 400,000 in wages, didn't he? At the end of the day. Jacob, what's going on, my friend? I'll be doing well. Hi, Sal. Sorry I'm late. It's my birthday today. I'm 27. Happy birthday, Jacob. How you doing? I hope you're having a good day. What age are you at the moment? Hope you are being spoiled rotten, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. And happy birthday, mate. You've seen how much Osimhen wanted? Absolutely not. Absolutely. Ego, of course. Please, goalie after a striker. I agree with that, Chichi. I think Man United should concentrate on a goalie after a striker. I really do, because the goalie is so underrated in regards to going forward for Manchester United. I said it. Look, you're not going to win every game 4-0, regardless what the players are. We've had the best team in the world before, and we haven't won every single game 4-0. You know, so some games are going to be tight, and some games you're going to need your goalkeeper. You're going to need him to put you to get you out of jail sometimes, so to speak. We could be 1-0 up in the 92nd minute, and then it's a free kick to whatever team, Everton, for example. That free kick comes in, he fumbles it, it slips out of his hand, open goal, 1-1, we drop 2 points. That is what a goalkeeper is. That is how important a goalkeeper is. I don't necessarily think the midfield has been the biggest issue at Manchester United. It's been an issue. I don't think it's the issue. I know a lot of people, because it's popular at the moment, I've been talking about midfield, even though they're not looking at the context. They're not looking at the game against Everton. The biggest problem that Man United had was Dalot on the left and Shaw on the left side as centre-back. Those were the two which completely nullified the left side of the pitch. Manchester United had many opportunities in that game against Everton where if a trained, experienced striker was playing up front, the pass would have been on and it would have been a goal. You know, at the end of the day. Now, I'm not saying Man United don't need a midfielder. Of course they need a midfielder. Midfielder is important. Of course it is. But not yet. I think the goalkeeper should be next, and then the midfielder should be after that. We're heavily stacked, unfortunately. Of course. 500k for also wanting to appear. Mate, bloody hell. My goodness me. 500k. For what? Is he Cristiano Ronaldo at his peak? Hell to the no. Absolutely. Brian Moran, I see that the keeper from Botafogo we are linked to had gone to West Ham. Yeah, unfortunately, the goalkeeper that we wanted and we were linked to and we were scouting has gone to West Ham for measly 10 million, of course. Victor John, that is the name of the goalkeeper, of course, who's been linked with Manchester United, unfortunately has gone to West Ham United. Man, you snooze, you lose in this game. You snooze, you lose. Man United have focused on a couple of players there, the striker and the attacking midfielder, which was in Boomer at the time. You snooze, you lose, and he's gone to West Ham United, wishing the best of luck. At the end of the day, he's got to move to the Premier League. The 29-year-old, of course. Dabizas, we could have got Osimhen, but UK tax structure is a big hurdle for his wages. Yeah, talk about Sesko and Baleba. Big up, please, big up, man. Look, at the end of the day, I'm a big fan of Baleba Awalabi, my friend. Look, I'm a big fan of Baleba. Baleba reminds me of a young Yaya Toure. Manchester United are fully aware of Baleba, but as Ben Jacobs confirmed only last week, that Manchester United will not be making a move for Baleba because Brighton and Hove Albion have put an astronomical price tag on Baleba's head. Now, if Manchester United go out there and purchase Baleba for around 70 million, which is going to be maybe more, then we face another huge risk because Baleba has had one good season. If we bring it back to the likes of, obviously, Ferguson, who plays at Brighton, who used to play at Brighton, I think he still plays at Brighton, who was deemed the new Wayne Rooney, had one good season and then dropped off. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to Baleba, but Ben Jacobs has basically confirmed last week that Manchester United will not go for Baleba this window, but quite possibly could revisit this situation next year. And hopefully Baleba has had another great season, and Baleba will be, will be hot on the heels of Manchester United, just like we're hot on the heels of Sesko this season. Of course, everything can change in 1 year, though. Anything can happen. Someone might come up out of the blue and you'll be like, oh, who's that player? Do you know what I mean? There might be a new Baleba coming out of the woodworks. I personally feel like there's two players in that midfield that I would like at Manchester United. One is Adam Wharton. The other is Carlos Baleba. Those are the two. I did want Richard Rios. Unfortunately, you snooze, you lose. We didn't get Richard Rios, unfortunately, guys. He's gone to Benfica. And don't be surprised if Richard Rios signs for another club in a couple of years for quadruple what he's worth, of course. Big up Awalabi. If United sign Sesko, then I would give the transfer window 50%. It is not a perfect transfer window by any stretch of the imagination. It is about 50% done. I do believe that. I think Man United do need a goalkeeper, probably need a midfielder, probably need a right wing back as well. Maybe need to replace one defender. We've lost Lindelof and we've lost Johnny Evans, of course. And Licha Martinez, obviously. We know what happens with Licha Martinez. He's very, very injury prone, of course. So that is a big problem, isn't it? So it is about 50%, 50-60% done, in my opinion. I said before the end of the season, I predict Man United will sort of sign four to five players. Ideally, Man United needs about 7 to 8 at least. But I never thought we were going to get 7 to 8. Absolutely not. Considering we haven't got Sancho at the door, we haven't got Anthony at the door, we haven't got Garnacho at the door as well. Luke Shaw is still at the football club. There's certain players that we haven't got rid of. So, it could improve. It could improve. But overall, the rating of this transfer window is not perfect, obviously, because we got the deals done late as well. One of the biggest things that I was talking about before the end of last season is that we need to get the deals done before the season starts against Arsenal. It does look likely that Sesko, if he signs for Manchester United quickly, if he signs for Man United, let's say by Monday next week, if we can get him in the club quickly, then there's quite a small possibility that he may play against Arsenal if he manages to get maybe one game under his belt. If that can happen. But you know what? It does look hard at the moment that he's going to play against Arsenal, of course. Good afternoon, legend. You are the legend, Isa. We got Adamo. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Why Man United make an offer for Benjamin Sesko without hearing a final decision from him? How do we know, Isa? We don't know that. There could be a quiet message in there. Basically, this is what happened. This is what I think is going on in this transfer right now. Benjamin Sesko wanted clarification from Manchester United that they can afford the transfer fee. Okay? So Benjamin Sesko did not want to make a public announcement about it. So what could have happened is that Manchester United wanted an announcement from Sesko. Benjamin Sesko wanted an announcement from Man United that they can afford him. By bidding for him, they've proven they can afford him. Now, probably what's happened is that Benjamin Sesko's entourage, maybe his agents and stuff like that, has spoken to Manchester United and said, yes, he wants to come to Manchester United, but we want it on a hush-hush, right? And that's what it is, just in case the deal doesn't fall through. And I think that's very clever. That could quite possibly be the case. Those sort of things happen, of course. Big up, Milton. How you doing, my friend? I'll be doing well. I think that add-ons component maybe have differed, and maybe United are offering a better one. Exactly, Milton. This is exactly what it is. Just because Newcastle have offered 90 million euros, Man United have offered 85, doesn't mean that Man United's bid is worse. It doesn't. Man United have offered 75 with 10 million in add-ons. Newcastle have offered 80 with 10 million in add-ons. So those 10 million in add-ons from Newcastle might not be achievable as Manchester United's 10 million in add-ons. So Manchester United's deal offer might be more attractive. Of course, watch this space. There could be anything that goes on in this transfer window. This is going to heat up, of course. It might heat up. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully Newcastle step back a little bit and lead the way to Manchester United going getting the deal done. Hopefully we've had an announcement from Benjamin Sesko, even if it is in private, that he wants to go to Manchester United. Hopefully, guys, absolutely. They are not even bigger than Sunderland. Newcastle is suffering from the inferiority complex. Look, Newcastle United, right? I applaud Newcastle United because when I was growing up in the late 80s, right, watching football, Newcastle United were a Division 1, League 2, League 3. It was back Division 1, Division 2 back then. And they were a Division 2 side, right? They were lower divisions. I think they were even in Division 3 back then. So back then it was Division 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I think they were in the lower divisions. And obviously they had a financial input in their team, and they ended up getting promoted quite often, and then ended up getting to the Premier League, of course, in the early 90s, of course. And that people don't realize this, but Newcastle are not as big as they think they are. They were in the lower divisions for a very long time, and it was in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, I believe, that they got into the Premier League, and then they started investing into their team, making some shrewd buys. Andy Cole was one of them, etc., etc. And then they started to grow from there. And in the 90s, fair enough, they were title challengers with Manchester United a couple of times, one of which was the can't win anything with kids season in 1995-96, where Manchester United simply obliterated them in the second half of the season. And you can't win, and we love it if we beat them. We love it. You remember that? So look, Man United have had a history of Newcastle United. Unfortunately, Man United have made Newcastle their B word, of course, guys, because Man United have defeated Newcastle various times in massive games when it really mattered. Newcastle beat Man United 5-0 once at St. James's Park back in the day. They actually made a DVD. They've actually made CDs back then, CDs. Probably be a DVD now about that, about that game. That shows the level they are, even though we beat them 6-2 a few years later at St. James's Park. We've beaten them many, many times, 5-1, 4-0, loads of times. Not least, beating them in the 1998-99 FA Cup final, which was the second part of our infamous treble, of course, guys. So, we got a lot of memories of Newcastle. And for me and for Man United fans around the world, generally, it's good memories from Newcastle United. We've had some good games. I remember us being 3-1 up with a few minutes to go, and 3-1 down, should I say, with a few minutes to go at Old Trafford and winning 4-3. There's many great games against Newcastle. But one thing I would say about Newcastle is that they have given us some great games, and in particular, the games we beat them in finals, because we've beaten them so many times in finals, I've lost count. Eric Ten Hag defeated Newcastle in a League Cup final. Your Gomes, your Isaacs, they were playing. Don't worry about that. They were in the team, but it didn't work out for them, did it, at the end of the day? Dabby's ass. If we put 30% sell on, RB will love us. Agreed, has no ends. Absolutely. It's a small club. You've got to give them their credit. And you've got to give credit to teams like Salzburg and RB Leipzig, of course, the Red Bull group, of course, who have made these football teams. And they've done pretty well with these football teams. They have grown these football teams to a level that, is respectable. You have to give that to them, of course. Smash the likes and subscribe. Thank you so much, Natty. You absolute legend. Really appreciate that, my friend. Sal, do you think Højlund will leave now? It is up and down, 50-50. For me, it is 50-50 whether Rasmus Højlund leaves. It all boils down to Rasmus Højlund. Now, look, there could be a case where Rasmus Højlund leaves on loan. It could go on loan. He could go somewhere else and score lots of goals. And then we're like, yeah, this is the guy. We can bring him back, or we could sell him for even more money, obviously. But what I would say is that it is not clarified yet. Obviously, there is obviously rumours about Rasmus Højlund wants to stay at Man United, wants to fight for his place, etc. Fair play. If he wants to do that, fair play. As long as we can get rid of Sancho, Garnacho, and Anthony, then I think that we can do the deals that we need to do, including the midfield and the goalkeeper, and maybe more. Who knows? And we do have to sell Anthony, we do have to sell Garnacho, we do have to sell Sancho, of course. Maybe do a deal with Juventus, of course. Hey, what's going on, George Best? 007, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're well as well. Good to see you, mate. I heard Sesko has accepted personal terms. Benjamin Sesko has accepted financial packages from both teams, Newcastle and Manchester United. Now it's up for Benjamin Sesko to make his decision. Obviously, I did say that Manchester United will not make a bid unless they've had clarification from Benjamin Sesko that he wants to go to Manchester United. Manchester United is the club for him. Now, given that Manchester United have made that bid, it looks like, not saying it's 100% gospel, but it looks like he has chosen Manchester United. That is what it could be. Absolutely. Let's wait and see. Sal, is there any nothing about Douglas Luiz at the moment, my friend, but I wouldn't mind what Manchester United going in for a Douglas Luiz if we can do a deal with Juventus, if it involved Rasmus Højlund or Sancho. Of course, Sancho's the guy that they want. Maybe we can do a deal with them. Maybe we can do a deal with Sancho and obviously Douglas Luiz, of course. So that would be a good one, but nothing at the moment, nothing solid. It's gone a little bit quiet in regards to that over the last few weeks. Newcastle's a weird obsession. What should they do? They want a rivalry, RDZ, absolutely. The idea of it thinking that they are anywhere near us, laughable. They need to worry about being a bigger than Sunderland before thinking about it. Look, they think that they had one good season, all right? They had one season better than us. In our worst period, we've had loads of seasons better than us better than Newcastle United this last 10 years. In our worst period. we've had loads of better seasons than them, right? Been in the Champions League more than them, won more trophies than them, everything, you name it, in our worst period. I think the thing is, it is an inferiority complex. It's small man syndrome. At the end of the day, what the way they think they're a big club because you know what? They've done some bits in the 90s, but didn't win anything. I don't know. All right, they won the League Cup. Fair play. They won the League Cup last season. But then again, Crystal Palace won the FA Cup. Those things can happen at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Wigan won the FA Cup, of course, you know. So, look, Middlesbrough won the League Cup. So what I would say is that they're always going to be that. They got a big ego. They've got a big ego. They always had a big ego, Newcastle United. They got a massive ego. Look at the way they treat away fans at their football ground, Newcastle United. Look at the way they treat. They put all opposition fans up in the stars, right at the top of the stadium, you know? And even then, they can't win anything. Chandinga. Sal, after striker midfield should follow. That's my opinion. I don't know. I think the midfield can hold it. I think the goalkeeper is the biggest problem at Man United. But I respect your opinion, Chandinga, but the biggest problem is the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper cannot be underestimated. Man United can cope with Casemiro, can cope with Mainu, can cope with Ugarte. Ugarte had the best ball recovery in Europe at PSG, you know, actually better than your guy, Belabor, you know. And what I would say is that the biggest problem is the balance of the side. The balance of the side needs to be balanced. Of course, that's what balanced things do. But balance of the side needs to be balanced. And we need a balanced side, and then we'll be all right. Playing Bruno in the midfield isn't going to work. You can play Belabor with him. You can play Adam Wharton with him. It's not going to work. Because it's Bruno's not a midfielder. It's not a Keane and Scholes, is it? Should Sesko come? I really want Højlund to stay. Who knows what's going to happen, George Beethoven? So I did say it's 50-50. I would applaud Rasmus Højlund if he stays and fights for his place, of course, because at the end of the day, if you get a striker in and he's got competition there, it may elevate his game. Who knows? I don't think you should have people to elevate your game, by the way, but it may give him that push to do better. You know, you never know. We may play 4-4-2 one day and play both of them up front. You never know. Do you know what I mean? Bello. Mateta is my second choice after. Yeah, mine too. I like Mateta. I really like Mateta. I think he's a fabulous player. 28, but very, very prolific and underrated, in my opinion. Natty. Sal, I would love if Sesko scored a banger against Arsenal. If he can possibly play Natty, of course, it would be a lovely experience to see Sesko score against Manchester, score against Arsenal, of course. It'd be a great experience. But is he going to get in through the door in time? Is he going to have enough game time in regards to friendlies to start that game? Who knows? Maybe. We have to wait and see. Of course, it depends how quickly this still goes through. Of course, Keith Downey and Craig Hope are in the mud. Big up, Jamie. Big up, Jamie. Absolutely. Story. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. It's not about how much you have, but what you can spend. And Man United can spend quite a lot, mate. 250 million altogether. You know, that is how much we can spend. That is a fact. We have one of the highest we can spend in FFP and PSR. We have 250 million. So if Man United have already got rid of Rashford off the books, this is before they got rid of Rashford off the books, by the way, who had our second highest wage. And then you've obviously got Anthony, Sancho, Garnacho, who could quite possibly leave the football club. And obviously not all of that money is going to go towards the transfer funds and FFP and PSR, but it would help significantly with the PSR and obviously FFP. So, yeah, we can spend quite a lot. Hey, what's going on, Rodney? Long time no see. What's going on? All these bombers flying around. It's like a war zone on the Rodney. I know it's a typical thing, isn't it? You know, we got the bombers going and stuff like that. Big up, Lord Rodney. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. In Boomo, first minute go against Arsenal, and that was shut them up straight away. Absolutely. What I don't want to see, though, Kenny, is that when Man United go ahead, we generally are complacent and we concede goals straight away. We did it against Everton. As soon as we score a goal, we're a little bit shaky and stuff like that. Hopefully, we're a lot more solid, of course, guys. Absolutely. George Best 007, thank you so much, my friend. 103 watching, guys. Come on, guys. 80 at the moment, but you know what? It's nearly the end of the show. But thank you, everyone who's joined me today. Really, really appreciate it, of course. Issa, please, Man United, get another goalkeeper and show Andre Allen at the door. I agree with that. Absolutely. Me as well. Milton, add-ons probably related to the goals scored. Could be. Yeah, it could be. Could be 20 goals next season. It could be 50 goals in his Man United career. It could be things like that. It could be appearances. It could be 50 appearances. That's how you do it. At the end of the day, it could be 50 international appearances. Could be that. loads of stipulations could be. Obviously we're going to have to find out the ins and outs of the deal. What we're hearing is that the stipulations that Man United have put across is basically that they're very, very achievable. Absolutely. Big up, Chris. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. So scored 16 goals 3 times in a row. One player who scored 13 in one season means there's not good enough for United. No one's saying he's not good enough for Man United. But what it does say is that it does represent a risk. It represents a risk, and it does represent a risk. That's not to say that the guy hasn't got talent. Absolutely not. At the end of the day, he has. But throughout his career, he scored just under 1 in 2, which is all right. It's a Bundesliga, remember that. But I watch football. I don't just look at stats, as I've told you, and I do look at his ability overall. Does he have the ability to improve? And we have to wait and see. Everything represents a risk. Ollie Watkins would represent a big risk. It would do, because if he doesn't score, he hasn't got the time to improve. He hasn't got the time to get better. At the end of the day, DK, the next goal scoring machine. CR7, hope we get him. Big up, Sesko. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Us lifting that trophy made him think twice, and we all want a part of that. Absolutely. Big up, Jamie. George Best 007. Osman is a problem child. Steer clear of him. Absolutely. Think we have. Alson's wages are very high, of course. Not paying 500k. F that. Absolutely. His wages are a problem. Absolutely. Osman, Remy, Bolotelli, we all know it worked out. Bolotelli, don't like the guy. Absolutely not. Nida, here we go tonight. Maybe. You never. Gaza, what's going on? Glazer, what's going on, my friend? I'll be doing well. Jackson to Villa or Newcastle, we get Sesko. Could be. At the end of the day, I think the price tag that Chelsea are putting on Jackson at the moment is absolutely pathetic. It's really, 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 really pathetic. My goodness me. When I'm thinking, I'm seeing all different numbers. It's bad. Jamie, got to speed up now. Absolutely. Hopefully we do. Season's almost started, guys. Season has almost started, of course. Brian, be great, Jamie, done and dusted by the weekend. Done and dusted is mine, mate. Mine. Done and dusted is my thing. Absolutely. It is done and dusted. Absolutely, guys. Never forget. So, do you think we will get the Premier League before Arsenal? We will win the Premier League before Arsenal. Natty? Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do think we'll win the Premier League before Arsenal. I do. I don't think Arsenal are going to win the Premier League. Osman wanted 400k to hair money. Mr. Sal, do you know you have one of the best live stream channel? I follow a lot of United live streamer, and you are very good in respecting the people's opinions. God bless you. Thank you so much, Gigi. Really appreciate that. Really nice comment. Of course, I do try it, and it's not fake. There are a lot of fakes out there. There are a lot of fakes who pretend. But not this channel, mate. Absolutely. Big up, and thank you for being part of the channel for a long time now. Of course, Uchichi. Big up. Jamie, who reported that De Gea's on 400k a week? He wanted 400k a week, I think. I think Man United were going to guarantee him 400k a week. He was on about 350, I think, plus clean sheet bonuses, of course. Is it unrealistic to think we can attract the likes of Donnarumma? No, Glazer. No. Donnarumma, of course, it is only a rumor, but Donnarumma, of course, knows about Manchester United, understands who Manchester United are. There are players around the world who don't just look at the Champions League. They look at the club. They look at the prestige of the club, the heritage of the club. Manchester United have that heritage. As much as people admire PSG, love PSG, great team, great football team, they haven't got the heritage that what Manchester United have had. PSG didn't win a league for 20 years, and they didn't win any much before that either. Marseille is the biggest team in France for a long time. Then it was Lyon. So what you would say is that, there was no reason why Donnarumma, apart from the Champions League, that he won't sign for Man United. I wouldn't pull it past him. Signing for Man United. I would love Seny Lamens signing for Man United. I think he's a great goalkeeper. But it does all depend on, obviously, Onana, what Onana does. Because what we're hearing at the moment is that Onana will not sit on the bench. So what are we going to do with Onana? Because Onana does represent a cash for Ineos. He does represent money for Ineos. He is a asset for Manchester United. And Manchester United, unless they get to loan him out with full wages paid or get to sell him, I don't think Man United can heavily spend on a goalkeeper at the moment, unfortunately, and especially on wages as well, which Donnarumma will have. It's not in the realms of impossibility, but it does depend on Onana. However, Man United could make a bid for Seny Lamens. Big admirers of Seny Lamens. Of course, Seny Lamens, firstly mentioned on this channel, of course, guys. Seny Lamens would cost about 20 million. Seny Lamens is a lot younger and could gradually drift Onana out of the football team slowly. That's what I would say. De Gea was on 250 grand a week. It's a waffle, mate. He was on 250 plus incentives, Jamie. Yeah, as far as I'm aware. 350 altogether, I think, with clean sheet bonuses, Jamie. To be fair, Cunha, Mbeumo, and Sesko, if he comes, offers great attacking potential. Gonna be a big Milton. I'm looking forward to seeing Sesko play in front of Cunha and Mbeumo. Absolutely. Ogamigi. Big up, Sal. How sure you're the Sesko news? I'm super excited. Very sure, mate. I said it before it even was broke, of course, but yeah, I'm very sure, guys. Big up, Paul Jigbar. What's going on? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. I told you guys earlier on that I am not worried about the transfers this season, and we will be finishing the top 4. Paul from Sierra Leone. Big up, Paul. I agree. Big up yourself. I agree with that comment. Big up, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. You absolute legends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please don't forget to smash a like on the video, guys. Don't forget to do that. And guys, put your notifications on because you never know when we're going to get that Here We Go. You never know when we're going to get Ornstein Bomber, of course, guys. So don't forget to do that. And guys, keep it Stretford Post as usual. Have a great day, evening, night, and enjoy it. Positivity doesn't come every day, does it? I'm Sal Warner. This is Chatterbox, and I'll see you later. If anything breaks, but I'll see you tomorrow. If anything else breaks, of course. Well, we'll be here tomorrow anyway for Breaking Dawn. Take it easy, guys. See you later.